Well, let's quickly move on and put the spotlight on the defense space. Now, we all remember yesterday there was this big surge coming back into all kinds of defense stocks, not just PSU defense stocks. A lot of the private sector, smaller companies as well did very well. So is the worst over, or is it way too early to jump the gun and... Okay, jump the gun. That's quite literally to call that. Let's, discuss this with Amit Anwani, who is from Prabhudas Lilladher, and he tracks this space at PL. Amit, great to have you on. So really just that. I mean, these stocks have been beaten down quite badly. Many of them are off 30, 40, almost 50% from their 52-week highs. Valuations have come off. But the thing is, it's a very different market as well now. The market is worried about going back into the old stars, the old favorites. What would you advise on the defense space, looking at fundamentals?
Hi, Surabhi. Thanks for having me. So you rightly highlighted, and we have been saying that the defense is something which we have to see longer term because of the execution cycle and the prevalent changes which is happening in the sector, the government's focus over past 7-8 years, and the kind of 10 to 15 years replacement program across aircrafts and many other verticals in defense. Having said that, as you rightly pointed, valuations were about 40 to 50x if we check 6 months back. Today, for me, I think the valuations 2 year forward appears to be around 25 to 28x for defense electronics, around 28 to 30x for the OEM companies. I think for many of the companies, there's still a very large pipeline which is waiting. For example, MDL, which we don't have under coverage, but they're talking about additional submarines for 30,000. Bharat Electronics stocks very strong with respect to the order pipeline, QRSAM order, which is kind of 25,000, additional MRSAM order, which is again 14,000. So I think pipeline is very robust. We saw 9 months performance by HAL. Bharat Electronics was quite decent for this 9 months. I think the only issue was the very steep valuation and the supply chain issue at some places, which leads to this correction. And I think I'll be selective. And we have been recommending Bharat Electronics at this point. We find it attractive.
No, I know you like Bharat Electronics. You also like HAL, I believe, Amit. Now, what is the run rate, revenue or EPS run rate that these companies will have to deliver for sustained stock price appreciation, given where the multiples are? And in this mix, if we throw in any of this, the US strategic defense ties business, because the US is pushing us to buy all kinds of things, including C-35s. So I don't know if that creates any risk, or do you think, at least for these two specific companies, since you like them, whether it maybe only opens up more opportunities, because then the subsystems, etc., need to be manufactured here? So just tell us both, what is the expected EPS CAGR, earnings CAGR that you will, you want these companies to deliver to justify that positive view?
Right. So I think talking about HL, as we all are aware, that there has been an issue with respect to deliveries, though the management is confident that the engines will come. And I think we have been building in some 12-13% CAGR. If at all the deliveries come on stream, we are talking about currently they have the line to deliver 16 aircrafts. They're expanding to 24 aircrafts delivery after 2-3 years. So definitely this will ramp up the pace of execution in the coming years. The company is also talking about the outsourcing the pre-integrated supplies and modules so that they have better assembly in future to the private sector. We have seen in the past the wings and few of the components of LCAs are already kind of outsourced. So I think this will gather the pace for the next decade. And as we are all aware that there's a massive opportunity. We are at just 31 squadron versus 42 squadron, and we're talking about at least 200 aircraft replacement over the next 10 to 15 years. So I think pipeline is very strong. We're talking helicopters also. So I think sustainably it should be 12 to 13% CAGR, which makes us comfortable with the stock seeing moment. And at the same time, they are already at 130 book. We're talking about 2 lakh crores of more orders. So all this indicates that on a longer horizon, despite this short-term challenges which we understand. I think the
Yeah.
run rate should be higher than past decade. Yeah.
And Nigel, I know you were sorry. Just one follow-up on HAL, and this is slightly longer term. But I mean, everything is being disrupted by technology, right? Uh, I think there was Elon Musk in one of his interviews. He said he was sort of talking about futuristically about whether drones will replace, planes and the need for fighter planes and things like that. And drones are getting advanced all the time. So do you need a pilot in there? Do you think it's something to keep on your radar? I mean, there's no way to know, right? I mean, we as lay investors or commentators would not know. But a lot is happening. The Aero Show, for example, there were, I'm told, 60 drone makers there, 60, or each kind of trying to outcompete each other and trying to pitch to the defense forces, etc. Just your thoughts, Amit, quickly.
Yeah, I think, as you rightly said, that could be the future. But currently, we have been taking a lot of drones, outsourcing a lot of drones from Israel, and we don't have our indigenous technology. We saw same for the aircraft taking many years. I think developing technology would be very crucial for us to move. Otherwise, I think we are largely currently importing drones, and drones could be definitely the future. For the future wars happening. Yeah.
That's a little surprising. I'm sorry, a bit of an out-of-syllabus question. You're saying, I mean, we have been importing drones, but then you have even listed companies, Idea Forge, Zentech. They're big in drones, which also brings me to the other question. Beyond the public sector giants that you've named, HAL and BEL, which are the private sector companies that still offer some value, good growth? Because for Zentech, we remember the conversation with the management. The thing is, they've been executing their order book. Now it's come down to 800 crores. They're saying they'll get more orders in the next 1-2 quarters. So what do you like in the private sector space?
Right. So I think all the defense electronics companies we have seen in private space, the profits doubling and tripling. When we talked about localization and building the vendor base for OEMs so that the OEMs fast track the deliveries. We saw numbers for many companies, though I don't cover much of them. Data Patterns, Astra Microwave, Zentech, Apollo Microsystem, the profits increasing. And I think as we have been hearing that to fast track the deliveries by OEMs and get more orders, definitely there has to be a private vendor base, including the big boys like L&T, Tata Advance, which are already attached to LCA deliveries are also benefiting. So I think the way forward for next 3 to 5 years is to build the vendor ecosystem, and defense electronics is something where the DRDO is already promoting the collaborations in startups. They are already incentivizing the startups. So I think a lot of smaller private defense companies currently listed and might be in the startup ecosystem have very strong growth seeing for next 5 years.
All right, Amit, we'll leave it there. We had more questions, but out of time. Appreciate you joining us here on the program today.